Okay, so we're on lesson number 11, solving equations with variables on both sides. So you will see me here use a couple of the other strategies also that we have practiced so far at this unit when solving equations. So one of the first things we want to do if we want to solve something like example 1 is we want to box our variables so that way we know what we are trying to combine. So if I look on this side and I think about combining like terms, 8x and negative 13 are not like terms, so I cannot combine them. And then on the other side, 8 and 5x are also not like terms, so I can't combine those. So what I want to start using are my inverse operations that we talked about earlier this week. So if I want to move this positive 5x to the other side with the 8x, I have to do the inverse of addition, which is subtraction. So I'm going to subtract 5x here and subtract 5x here. So 8 minus 5 gives us 3x minus 13 equals 8, and these cancel. And if I box my variable again, I want to get everything away from my variable to isolate my variable. So I need to undo the subtraction 13. So I will add 13. If I do it here, I also do it to the other side. Remember, what you do to one side, you do to the other. So I have 3x. These cancel. And 8 plus 13 is 21. And if I box my variable again, now I just have to get the 3 away from it. Remember, when there's no operations, that means multiplication. So the opposite is to divide by 3 on both sides. These 3's will cancel, and I will get x equals 7. Now there's two ways. I just want to remind you, you can type in 21 divided by 3 to get 7. Or remember, you can use alpha y equals, and you can type it in like this, and you'll get the same answer. This is probably the better way for when the numbers get larger. Okay, so now we're going to look at number 2. Number 2 looks really similar. So I'm going to start by just boxing my variables. Now the weird part about this one is this v, it doesn't have any number in front of it. When there's no number, it's a 1, so I would encourage you to add it so you don't make any mistakes. So now if I want to solve for v, I have to get these variables on the same side. So I'm going to do the same thing I did before. And in order to move this negative 2v, now it's a negative. In the first one, it was a positive 5. So we're going to do the opposite, which is add 2v here. I'm going to add 2v here. I brought down my negative 6, and I'm adding 1v equals negative 8. So now when I box my variable, I know I need to get the negative 6 away. So I'm going to the opposite of subtracting 6 or negative 6, which is adding 6. So I'm going to add 6 to both sides. These 6's are going to cancel, so I'm going to be left with just 1b equals, and I get negative 2. So again, if I box my variable, I need to get the v by itself. So I'm going to have to get rid of that 1, which is multiplication. So I'm going to divide by 1 on both sides, and I will get v equals negative 2. Okay, so we're going to solve number 3. So this time I can't just move the p's over because there's some distribution going on. So remember, when there's a number outside of parentheses, you have to multiply. So I have to do negative 8 times, really there's a 1 here. So that would be negative 8p. And negative 8 times 8, which is 64, negative 64, sorry, equals negative 40 minus 5p. And now this problem looks like all the other ones that we've done. So you can box your variables and know that you have to move one to join the other. So if I want to move negative 5p, I'm going to do the opposite, and I'm going to add 5p. And what I do to one side, I do to the other. Negative 8 plus 5 is negative 3p minus 64 equals negative 40. So if I box my variable again, I have to now isolate the p, so I need to move the negative 64 by adding 64 to both sides. So we have negative 3p, these cancel, equals negative 40 plus 64, which is 24. And now when I box my p, I need to get rid of the negative 3. So I need to undo it by dividing by negative 3 on both sides. These cancel. I get p equals negative 8. Okay, and the last question of the lesson is going to combine our variables on both sides and combining like terms. So if I were to box my variables now, you'll notice that on the right-hand side, I have 2 of the same variable. That's because they are like terms. When they are like this, I can just combine these 2 right away before I move anything. So in this case, negative 7 plus 3b gives me 4b's, and that's a negative 4b, and I can bring down my 1. But then when I look on this side, I also notice that I have some like terms over here, a negative 3 and a negative 1. So I can also combine those to give me just negative 4 minus 3b. This will help save you on steps if you look for things that you can combine on each side right away. So now if I box my variables, if I want to move my negative 4b to join the 3b, I would add 4b to both sides. Bring down your negative 4. Negative 3 plus 4 is 1b equals 1, and these cancel. So if I box my variable now, I want to isolate the b, so I want to move the negative 4. So I'm going to add 4 to both sides. These cancel. I get 1b equals 1 plus 4 is 5. And the final step to getting b by itself is to divide by 1 on both sides to isolate the b, get rid of that 1. So my final answer is going to be b equals 5. And that's it for variables on both sides.